Good morning everyone. My topic is on mental GIS and these are the contents. Health, a brief introduction, potential of GIS in health, pioneering work of John Snow, GIS in tackling mental health, case studies, and finally references. So, what is meant by health? After World War II, the World Health Organization defined health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So, health is a culmination of physical, mental, and social well-being. That is, it is not merely something we get via pathogens, but it also involves mental well-being in the sense that we can do some outside activities or physical activities like running, jogging, etc., as well as traveling, cooking to enhance our mental well-being, and also involves social well-being, that is interaction between other human beings that we do extensively using the social media platforms. So this complete view incorporates the total well-being under the concept of health. So next is the potential of GIS in health. The huge potential of GIS to aid the healthcare industry is relatively a young field, paving road to endless opportunities. Also, we can see that these GIS in public and private sectors are developing innovative ways to harness the data integration and spatial visualization power of GIS. It is found that the platform Esri has acquired 5,000 healthcare clients worldwide who are using the resource integration capabilities of GIS to create analytical and descriptive solutions. So, what GIS can help us is GIS plays a critical role in determining where and when to intervene, improving the quality of care, increasing accessibility of service, finding more cost-effective delivery modes, and preserving patient confidentiality while satisfying the needs of the research community for better accessibility. So, GIS helps in many ways as seen, that is, it helps us to intervene where and when and where disease or potential crisis occurs. It improves the quality of care, increases accessibility of service, especially in remote areas, finds out more cost-effective delivery modes, fastest routes or shortcuts delivery routes, and also preserves the patient confidentiality. So next is John Snow, mapping of cholera. In 1854, an English physician named John Snow, he provided the classic example of how mapping can be used in epidemiological research. So this research is found as a pioneering or first work of someone who had mapped the spread of a disease. So what he did was he identified the water source responsible for an outbreak of cholera in London by mapping the locations of those affected. So the disease occurred in the year 1853, and in late August, cholera broke out in the Broad Street area, and the residents panicked and many began to flee. As John Snow researched, he found that a hand pump was located right on Broad Street, and Snow was suspicious. He had doubts regarding the hand pump. Water samples did not reveal gross contamination, but Snow persisted and began to collect detailed information on where the victims had gotten their drinking water. So he had suspicions about the pump and thought the pathogens must have spread from the water from the pump. He obtained the names and the addresses of the first 83 victims who had died by the end of the first week. He went to their homes and learned from relatives that the vast majority of them had obtained their water from the Broad Street pump. The investigation continued. Ultimately, Snow was able to track down 197 victims, the vast majority of whom lived within walking distance of the pump. It was also noted that there was an extremely low incidence of cholera at a nearby workhouse and also at the Lion Brewery. As you know, is a place where wine, fermented drinks are made, and both of these businesses have their own water supply. The workers at another large business used water from the broad same pump, and the workers had a substantial incidence of cholera. So these two places, there is a nearby workhouse and iron brewery. They had their own water supply. That is, they did not depend on the pump. But workers from another large business used water from the same pump. So it could be that it spread from the water pump. So the map shows the location of the pump. So the star shows the location of the pump, and the home or business location of the victims is shown by stacks of small dark marks that are clearly clustered around the pump. So these that is Cambridge, St. Road Street, Cambridge Street, and Road Street. So these nodes represent the affected areas, and these almost green colored blocks, that is the workhouse and the brewery, and the potential spread of cholera in these two areas were less, or the people who worked in the brewery and who resided in workhouse had no incidence of cholera. So, because Johnson had the ingenuity to come up with a map which showed the location of the origin of disease, the further works on mitigating the spread of cholera was more easy. Also, the authorities could come up with strategic plans to stop the spread of cholera. Now, this type of map, which marks the location of disease cases, is referred to as a spot map. So next is GIS in medical services. The planning of domiciliary care provision is one of the most active applications of GIS. The Geographic Information System is able to organize all the routes that a healthcare professional has to follow. Aids in making predictions about some services that are in great demand to a specific location. GIS application also extends towards strategic planning, research and evaluation, emergency preparedness, and both response and location of healthcare services as well. Geographic information systems provide us with the exact location of specific medical equipment and how somebody may gain the fastest access to it. So it mostly deals with locating the disease origin, bringing aid to the people in need, also coming up with healthcare services in remote areas, helping us find hospital locations, so on and so forth. Next, how GS can be used in tackling mental health. So mental disorders are one of the most common causes of disability among all diseases. That is, mental disorders can lead to further diseases or make us susceptible to other diseases like fever or hypertension, etc. Moreover, they have enormous socio-economic impacts. Some of these mental illnesses are quite intertwined with environmental changes or disasters and changes in land use such as urbanization. So, as we can see, because we are having corona and there's lockdown, it is having a heavy toll on our mental health, and we can say this corona is an environmental disaster or a man-made disaster, whatever it is. Since we are cooped up in our houses, lot of face-to-face contact with outside world is lost, and people are feeling mentally irritated. So that is something that is to be addressed by the government. So next, the geographical representation of this data will be a valuable tool for healthcare professionals to both treat and prevent mental illness. So we can use GIS to track maybe which country or which district or which place has more cases of mental health conditions. Maybe is it the urbanized area or the village area, or what kind of people working in which field is more subjected to mental problems. So we can use GIS in tackling mental health in various ways. The GIS can analyze and portray accurately the distribution of mental health services, and they could explain the reasons why the accessibility in healthcare services is affected. So once we track the locations, the authorities can come up with maybe hubs or spots where people can interact in minimal numbers around others, or come up with certain activities, outdoor activities, following code uh, protocols, and so enhance the mental condition of the society. Next we come to the first case study which goes by the name Contamination of Household Open Wells in an Urban Area of Trivandrum, Kerala State, India, a spatial analysis of health risk using Geographic Information System. It was done by the given scientists, and the aim was to assess the sanitary condition and water quality of household wells and to depict it spatially using Geographic Information System in an urban area of Trivandrum, Kerala State, India. What was done was a community-based cross-sectional study was conducted in the smallest defined healthcare unit in a community known as a sub-center. The study was conducted in Pangapara Public Health Sub-Center area, which is the field practice area of the Government Medical College at Trivandrum, India. The study region covers an area of 1.05 km square. So the data collection was done from February 1 to April 30, 2016, which is the summer season in Kerala. And as you know, during summer season, the most number of waterborne diseases are recorded. The study started with the collection of data by questionnaire survey at each house and collecting geographical coordinates of each house, well, and nearest septic tank. So the main attributes were of finding each house, well, and the nearest septic tank. Then it was followed with another fieldwork for collecting groundwater samples for estimating major ions, pH, electrical conductivity, total dissolved solids, and certain trace elements by inductively coupled plasma mass spectroscopy analysis, that is ICP-MS analysis. The generated hydrochemical data and the health data were integrated to create the geodatabase in GIS platform. The final step involved analysis of the data using GIS tools and statistical software. So this is the figure 1, and it shows the distance from the nearest septic tank to each well, which was measured using differential global question satellite, and the distance had a median of 13.40 plus or minus 12.77 meter, with a minimum of 1 meter and a maximum of 139 meter. So as we can see, this is the Pangapara region, and the small green dot represents a distance of greater than 15 meter, and this even larger light green colored dot shows 10 to 15 centimeter, and this yellowish dot shows 7.5 to 10 meter, and these largest red dots represent less than 7.5 meter between the septic tank and the well in each household. Also, the septic tank may be of the adjacent household and not necessarily within the same household boundary. And the map is as shown. So this map simply shows the distance between the septic tank and the range of distance between the septic tank and the wells. Now figure 2 shows the distribution of coliform infestment in wells. So the wells in these regions, so the water in these wells in these regions showed coliform infestment. So what is coliform? It is a bacteria that can ferment lactose with the production of acid and gas when incubated at 35 to 37 degrees Celsius. Also, these species of bacteria are responsible for turning food rancid. And the common species that we all know of is E. coli, and E. coli, if it gets into the stomach, is seen to cause stomach aches and other health problems. So out of the 30 samples that was collected for bacteriological analysis, 22 were positive for coliforms, both total coliforms and fecal coliforms as found. So as you can see, total coliform in colony forming units. So CFU stands for colony. So now we have figure 3. It represents the spatial distribution of well water, that is pH of the study area. Green color depicts pH close to the normal recommended range, and orange to red shows highly acidic well water. So as you can see, there is some places here and there where acidic well water was sampled on. Next, result and discussion. Dug wells still remain as a major source of drinking water in the study area, but the sanitary conditions of the wells are a matter of concern, with 73% of the wells contaminated with coliform organisms. The reason for the coliform contamination brought out from the study are the close proximity of septic tanks with the wells and inadequate chlorination and cleansing activities by the households. The pH of groundwater was also found to be low as per the GIS and WHO standards, Bureau of Indian Standard (BIS). With all these risk factors prevalent in the study area, waterborne diseases are probably kept at bay by the widespread boiling and filtering practices adopted by the household. So, boiling the water and also filtering the water is what keeps the waterborne diseases in this area very comparatively low. Also, the study area is at high risk of waterborne epidemics, and urgent remedial measures must be taken. But still, the chances of drinking water without boiling is also high, logically. So, if someone do drink non-boiled water, there is a high risk that you might get the disease. So, initiatives with the active participation of the community, like a mass cleanliness campaign, well chlorination campaign, and awareness and health education campaigns, may be conducted, as maintaining a proper sanitary well is the most cost-effective preventive measure against waterborne diseases. As it is said, prevention is better than cure. Maintaining a proper sanitary well is the remedial method to prevent waterborne diseases. So next we come to the second case study, and the title is Measurement of Special Access to Home Visit Nursing Services among Japanese Disabled Elderly People using GIS and claim data. These are the orders. So home care service demands are increasing in Japan. This necessitates improved service location, and this study examined the relationship between home visit nursing, HVN service use, and the proportion of elderly people living with 10-minute travel of HVN agencies. So, it studied the relationship between the HVN service and the elderly people living within 10-meter travel. In Japanese municipalities, long-term care services are concentrated in urban areas due to greater market opportunities. This suggests that availability is lower in rural areas. However, municipality residents can obtain long-term care services from outside of their municipality. Hence, a smaller number of service providers within a given municipality does not necessarily indicate poor availability. So, this is the usual case, that is, urban areas have long-term care services and a large number of care services, but in rural areas also you can have long-term care services, but it is not that popular. So methodology, we calculate the accessibility indexes for each examined municipality and then compared HVN agency allocation with HVN service use among disabled elderly people, which we already discussed. We hypothesize that more aged and disabled people would use HVN services in municipalities with higher accessibility index values. Insurance claim to find out that insurance claim data was used to test this hypothesis. Insurance claim data can indicate every disabled elderly's medical service use, and also long-term care service using home visits, such as home visit services including HVN, daycare, and institutional services. So, records from these institutions were used to arrive at an hypothesis. This study analyzed the following data types: publicly available data on the elderly population, and HVN agency addresses and long-term and healthcare insurance claim data for claims on HVN service. So, how many people were subscribed to these HVN services? You can get an idea using these claim data, insurance claim data. So, this is the figure 1, and this depicts the 17 municipalities in Japan. So, prefectures from the second level of jurisdiction and administrative division of Japan. So, prefecture refers to the districts, that is analogous to our districts like Tirunelveli district, and Palakkad district, and so on. So, second level of jurisdiction, administrative division of Japan. And its population density is less than the national average, and the population does not distribute homogeneously. So these second level jurisdiction is kind of the rural areas. Their population density is less than the national average, and the population does not distribute homogeneously. That is, it is quite remote areas. So medical and long-term care service agencies tended to be on higher population density areas. So as from this graph, it shows that these medical and long-term care services tended to be in these dark spots and lesser in these lighter spots. Okay, because the population of individuals aged greater than or equal to 75 years, 1 to 100, were likely more than the population of people above 300. Now this figure, furthermore, we divided each municipality into 0.5 square kilometers termed as meshes. So these are the meshes, and each of which was associated with the number of people who lived in the area aged greater than or equal to 75 years. So these meshes these meshes were drawn taking into account the old people, that is, with people aged more than 75 years. We subsequently located all HVN agencies on the divided map and established the agency's reachable area using the GIS Geographic Information System program. So, the home visiting nursing agency is shown by this small triangle, and these are the municipalities, that is these polygons, and this reachable area is these darkened areas. So this reachable area, these darkened areas are at a 10-minute distance from the home visiting nursing agency. So from figure 2 we can further infer that agencies' reachable areas covered the geographical area less than or equal to 10-minute travel from the agency by car and not using highway. So there is a constraint that this 10-minute travel was done by car and not using highways. This travel condition was defined as the common travel distance experienced by HVN nurses used in their usual day-to-day practice. So such a constraint was made because this was the common practice in Japan. That is, they used to travel via cars, and because these areas were not the urban areas, these were not strictly speaking highways. It could be the sub-roads or the civilian roads. Measures fully within HVN's reachable area were coded as reachable measures. The population in these measures was coded as reachable population. So we gave terms, that is reachable area as reachable measures, and population in these measures as reachable population. Finally, we calculated each municipality's reachable proportion, that is the reachable population divided by total elderly population, and reachable area rate, which is reachable area divided by total area. So we calculated the reachable proportion and as well as reachable area rate. A care level of 4 or 5 indicates that the individual requires support for most activities of daily living. So this if there was a care level of 4 or 5, that meant that the elderly people were very much at risk, or they were interested in doing things on their own. And this was the correlation that was reached, that is, it represents the correlation between reachable population proportion and reachable area rate. And the correlation was found out to be positively correlated, that is, we had a Pearson's R value of 0.563, which was greater than 0. Also, P, the probability was about 0.019. So that means we could reject the null hypothesis. That is, there was only a 19% chance of this happening by chance. That is pure chance or luck. So that would mean that some external factors did contribute to this correlation. So there was a correlation between the reachable population proportion and reachable area rate. Okay, so next we go to the final and third case study, a GIS-based spatial correlation analysis for ambient air pollution and AECOPD, that is acute exacerbations of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, hospitalizations in Jinan, China. So this AECOPD, there has been a number of cases reported and hospitalized in China, and if something is not done, it can result in high socio-economic costs and also deteriorating the patient's quality of life. So the aim was using GIS to investigate the spatial association between ambient air pollution and AECOPD hospitalizations in Jinan city, and the work was done in 2009. So methodology, the subjects were geocoded using home residence and working sites, where the two main aspects is home residence and working site. We applied addresses, geocoding techniques using ArcGIS software. Each subject was shown on a map as a precise mark in correspondence with his or her home residence or working site respectively. The gases or the pollutants looked into were nitrogen dioxide, ozone, sulfur dioxide, particulate matter with aerodynamic diameter less than 10 microns, that is unit emission over 6 meter, that much less, that much small, carbon monoxide. And among these pollutants, SO2 and PM10 was found to be the prominent contributors to AECOPD. So this is the first graph, and it shows distribution of SO2 concentration and AECOPD hospitalization at residence. So it shows the residence relation, that is people living in houses and their contribute, they being hospitalized because of AECOPD, and it was seen that at residence SO2 was the main contributor. An example of the estimated monthly air pollution levels using monitoring data and thinking method, distribution of residents of AECOPD hospitalization. Also taking SO2 concentration distribution and admission data in April 2009 in Jinan, China as an example. Now this one shows the PM10 concentration at workplace. It could be that PM10 concentration distribution was found more at workplace, and hospitalizations due to PM10 was found more because of in and around workplace, workers are more. That could be the possible conclusion. And the conclusions were ambient air pollution is spatially correlated with AECOPD hospitalizations. At residence, SO2 is of greatest spatial correlation with AECOPD hospitalization. At workplace, PM10 is of greatest spatial correlation. And after adjusting for potential confounders, only PM10 concentrations at workplace showed statistical significance with a 10 mg per meter cube increase of PM10 at workplace associated with a 7% increase of hospitalizations for acute exacerbations of COPD. So at workplace, it was seen that there was a rapid increase of statistical significance in the increase of people or workers being admitted to hospital with PM10 infection. So, and these are the references. So with this we come to the end of this PPT, and I hope it was useful and handy. Thank you.